due date of April,
Let
but
me,
the
let me
first.
look here. Our telephone conversation was on the 14th, so it's been 10 days already. Why don't you find out from Ryan, cause I don't have a date of it.
Okay.
The thing I'm trying to accomplish tonight is that they required this to be discussed at a public meeting. And if I know Ryan well, he'll always say, well, it should have been voted on. So we've done both.
Right.
I don't have a due date.
Okay, I'll get those.
And would you announce it to us in an email that doesn't require any discussion?
Yes. Actually, I'm thinking of changing my signature to please don't reply to this per OML.
Well, because what it's really doing is talking about the agenda for the next meeting.
No, I understand.
And that's perfectly appropriate.
And I'll put that under old business, because we're gonna be starting that in February, is
Right,
the
right.
list of old business.
I like that. I do that with my other boards.
It's
You're right.
right now, so,
We don't wanna
do-
miss the deadline though, cause I think it'd
No.
be extremely helpful to have some help.
yes.
I do have a note here. March 1st, but I'm not sure what it means. It says, see Bratko's economic development, application that he did for the same kind of grant.
Mm-hmm.
And then underneath that it says March 1st, but I'll ignore my own notes. Please check with Ryan and publish the due date.
Got this.
And you guys should come prepared to, work this out in on our February meeting. Think about it.
Yeah, you might, if there's a grant application,
I can fill that out, and I
Scan
can
it
also
and put
do
it
the
as a
two,
Word.
I can also work on the 2 paragraphs if you want, based on this meeting, and then bring them in here for approval, depending on how.
That'd be
Yeah,
awesome.
Bring in
Yeah.
drafts. Bring in
Yeah.
drafts, and we have something
Right,
to beat
right.
on.
I say email it, but if you guys want paper.
Let's not do emails that
go back and forth.
tempt.
Right, I don't wanna go
tempt-
back and forth, no.
Tempt deliberation. Let's
Right,
just
okay, all
come
right.
in and work on it
Okay,
in February. It's only 10, 12 days away, so.
right, right.
This is good. I think we've done what the MWRP requires. Now let's move to the next grant.
EOEA.
It's the Economic Opportunity something something. My notes say, it's money to the town, goes to the planning board. We can put out an RFP. The grant is a January, February application, due in April, and a June or July award. And MWRP will assist us in the grant writing. So we need to,
Do that ASAP.
I don't think we specify the money. I think we specify the task.
Right.
And I'm getting a little gray on this. I don't,
So are you you see this as, again, a chapter kind of thing, or?
It depends on, what is if EOEA will support something that's done, I mean, if it's an economic grant, then, you know, the master plan does support economic development.
Right.
oh, it's focused on the master plan.
Okay,
And, why don't we just go to Ryan and say, give us the grant application?
okay.
MWRP will help us,
Right.
but we ought to see the blank and see what it is we have
Right,
to
right.
construct. And, of the remaining topics, I think I watched a select board meeting or heard about a select board meeting where they tried to consolidate our planning activities. And there's capital improvement planning, and there was this long-range facilities planning. And I think they tried to roll the long range into the capital and made one committee out of
Makes
two.
sense.
Yeah, and they were cautious about the optics of that. They didn't wanna make people think that they weren't thinking long-term.
Right,
They're just
right.
trying to consolidate some committees and
Right.
get some resources focused.
Right.
And that's a good thing. that's a candidate. Parks,
Isn't that already a natural,
Recreation.
resource
it may be, I'm not sure.
and, or open space?
Yeah. Well, why don't we get the application? I have less knowledge about what is an appropriate activity under this grant.
Yeah, that would help.
Okay.
I just have run out of knowledge from my notes, but we've made some good progress. I think what I want is a motion to pursue the EOEA grant.
I make that motion.
Got it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye?
So we have discussed it at the public meeting, we're pursuing it, we just haven't got the bullseye defined yet.
I think it's gonna have to do with economic development.
Probably.
'Cause- Which
Well,
might be fine.
We have a pretty good chapter on that. I hope you get a chance to read it sometime.
Yeah, I know, it's done.
Yeah, we don't wanna, we
Redo
don't wanna
it.
do it again. If there's some other of these activities that could complement the town's economic development or business development or
Right.
whatever it is, that would be great. But the economic development chapter, I think we're considering that signed off. In
Well,
fact, it is signed off.
It is, yeah.
The,
It's actually very
select
good,
board-
I've read it.
Right.
Select board approved it.
But I was just thinking other money, like capital implement, I don't know, let's see what they say they do.
Right, that'll
Yeah,
help us
let's,
immensely.
let's take the next round. but-
Yeah.
But what we did tonight was said, we're gonna pursue it, so,
Right.
that's it.
That's good.
Good work. Let's go back to the agenda. We took care of the CPC funding time extension with Danielle's help. That was very nice of her to come in.
Yes.
Acknowledgement of an open meeting law complaint. That's in our attachments, right?
It is,
Yes.
along with the, open meeting complaint forms that everyone understands the timetable.
Alright, we have, I think, so many days to
Respond.
do what we're gonna do tonight.
Right, acknowledge,
Acknowledge its existence.
right,
It was written on
22nd.
January 2nd.
So.
On the day of the alleged violation.
At the back, it's the date of this signed, and it was the 22nd of January.
Okay.
So I'm reading the instructions here. We have to copy everybody with the complaint, everybody meaning the deliberative body, us. The public body must meet to review the complaint within 14 days, and we've achieved that if we do that tonight. Is it? Gee, the date of this complaint is 2/1, or?
No,
So
that's the
when.
violation.
If you check the back,
Oh.
when she signed
So
it,
is
it was
that-
the 22nd.
Okay, I was confused. The 22nd, and today's the 24th, so we're on top of this one. We achieved that goal. And then, after review, within 14 days, the public body must respond in writing. And I think we ought to enlist the lawyer's help on this. This is a pretty simple one, and the lawyer can review the tape of the meeting and see what happened there. Let me read the complaint so that we make it public. This complaint came to us on January 22nd, or it's dated January 22nd. The contact information is, the first name is Rayanne Siegel, 27 Natty Pond Drive, Hubbardston, Mass. 01457. I won't give out her phone number or email. She's an individual. The public body that's subject to this complaint is City, Town, Hubbardston Planning Board. Specific persons, if any, you allege committed the violation is Chairman Tom Robinson. Dated the alleged violation is January 2nd, 19. Chairman Tom Robinson failed to state at the beginning of the January 2nd, 2019 Planning Board meeting that it was being broadcast live and digitally recorded. Per General Law, Chapter 30A,
Section.
20F, at the beginning of the meeting, the chair shall inform other attendees of any such recordings. The requirement as the chair is to inform attendees of any recording, including any recording made by members of the public body itself, including those made for public broadcasting or administrative purposes, such as assisting in the draft of meeting minutes. what action do you want the public body to take in response to this complaint? For the planning board, remove Mr. Robinson as chair so that some other member of the board can run the meetings more effectively and efficiently. Signed, Rayanne Siegel, January 22nd, 2019. So there's the complaint. I did the last complaint, and I'm not interested in doing another one, but I will guide our KP Law person with the following impression of this complaint, or impression, actually, the impression of the January 2nd meeting. I took an opportunity to go back and review it. To the best of my knowledge, there was one member of the public here, Mr. W-I-C-A-L?
Wickle, yes.
Mr. Wickle, who came in and talked to us about the stone walls.
Correct.
And he was sitting at the bench. And we began the meeting, and we had recognized him as being a public, and we moved his agenda item up.
Right.
And we discussed the background of the
Stone wall.
stone situation for about 10, 12 minutes. And then I invited him to the table, and when he sat down, I said, "Oh, you're being recorded." And I said, "Oh, I forgot to mention that. Yes, this meeting is being recorded," and I gave the spiel. Well, and then we, of course, took off with the topic. We have that planning board meetings are broadcast live and digitally recorded at the top of all our agendas, so if you looked at the agenda, you would know that. But in fairness to him, we told him right to his face, and we told him that before he uttered anything about why he was here. There are two governing considerations. One, I believe, is a state law about recording people. This state is a two-party state, meaning both parties, the recorder and the recordee, if I can use those words, have to be informed that the recording is going on. You can't secretly record someone. I think our telling him that these microphones were on and reading that message to him before he spoke fulfilled our obligations under that law. The second one is the open meeting law, which she quotes, and I'll have to go back and read. I haven't read that chapter in a while. And when you think of at the beginning of the meeting, I don't know what that phrase really means. We'll ask our lawyer to do that. Whether 10, 12, 14 minutes into the meeting qualifies as at the beginning, or whether saying it before any public person speaks qualifies, or whether our own board, which knows that it's being recorded every time we're in here, has to be informed at the very onset of the meeting. So we've got some differences of opinion. This was certainly not an intentional act to break the open meeting law, if indeed it did at all. So I'm gonna kind of put together a little two-paragraph thing about what I just said, get it over to Ryan and say, "Dear KP Law, generate a response," and look at the video and see what you think. Does anybody have anything else to add to that? Because we're all in this boat together.
I'm all right with that.
I just know that Ryan wants to keep the legal fees down as much as we
Right.
can, and I
Well-
think it's a pretty clear-cut
I did-
situation where we, I understand what you're saying. This guy was allowed to say a few things before.
He didn't say anything. I looked at the
He was
tape.
talking, I kinda remember this meeting.
I asked, I think
I
I
do
said,
too.
"Are you Mr. Wickle?" And he said, "Yes."
Yes, okay.
That was
And
it.
then you made the announcement.
And then he came to I invited him to the table, and the first thing I said was, "You're being recorded." And then I gave the whole spiel, because I said, "Oh, I forgot to read the whole spiel," and I said the whole thing out. The
Yeah, I
planning
think-
board meetings are broadcast live and digitally recorded.
I think if you could just write that way and send it, transcripts are, maybe even get away without the transcript, just say, this is what transpired.
I'll refer her to the tape.
And then ask
She only has to watch
Ryan if-
15 minutes.
If if you really, you really need to go to town council with that, can we not generate our own response to
Well,
that?
I know Ryan wants to save money, but last time I saved all kinds of money.
Yeah, I know, but do the same
And I
thing.
put a lot of hours into it.
I know.
And these complaints are not worthy of those kind of hours. I don't quite know what this person's problem is. I think it goes back to her losing her job and being investigated for retaliation and alleged retaliation and those kind of things that she somehow connects me with, but I wasn't the person that was retaliated against. I didn't file any complaint. So she's now, and I remember the last time the complaint came in from her, you said something about this isn't gonna end or something.
When people get upset, that's just, I know people, you know, sometimes when they get upset about things, they don't stop.
Well, I don't know, maybe she's upset at the fact that she lost her job here, she quit.
I just
And,
think that the,
I don't
you
want.
could write a fairly straightforward response, yeah, then then ask Ryan if he'd run it by town council or something, but we don't need to meet with them. I mean, if this is gonna be a pattern, you've gotta come up with sort of an efficient way to.
Yeah, I don't need a part-time job doing open meeting law complaints. My life's too short for that. So I'm gonna do what I said I'm gonna do unless someone has a big complaint about it. Can I get a motion to move this to,
I'll make a motion to send it off to Ryan, town
Ryan.
council. I don't agree, I do agree, we wanna keep our costs down, but I understand where you're coming from too, so I would say I'm okay with that.
and look at the videotape, it'll only take you 10-12 minutes.
The timestamp is 14:05.
Is that what it is? Okay. 14 minutes into the thing is when he approached the table, so. The meeting went on for another couple hours, so where's the
But you told him
beginning?
even when he approached the table, you're being recorded.
As soon as he came to the table,
So
I said,
that's
"You're
the
being recorded."
important,
That's right, that protects him, that gets two-party agreement, he could refuse, he could say, I'm not saying anything, and walk out,
Right,
which is his right.
Not only that, but we have the thing on the wall. Please be aware that some meetings are being recorded, so we've had that posted.
right.
it's worth
And-
mentioning.
And is
the
it on the
fact that he-
sign-in sheet? Is that
It
message
is
on
not
this?
on the sign-in sheet, but it is, the agendas are right next to the sign-in sheet, and there are extra agendas that say, this
Say it.
meeting is being
Yeah.
broadcast live and digitally recorded, and it says, please take one. up
It's
to-
worth pointing out, the two written notices.
Right,
The initial
right.
warning, you're being recorded.
Yep.
And then the following formal announcement within. I just think if you do that, and then you can state, generally that statement is made at the full statement is made at the before
Beginning, it
anybody
was-
speaks, but on this particular occasion, that's
there was
how it was
a
done.
minor lapse.
Actually, there's 3 written notices, there's the posted agenda,
On the website.
there's the wall notice, and there's the paper agenda handout. And then there was the verbal
You're being recorded, yeah.
announcement. Before he spoke. And does anybody on the committee feel that they need to be informed that this is gonna be recorded every time we meet? No.
No, but if the statute says, no, we don't, I mean, but,
Well, I'm
I
not
think
sure
the other
what-
thing you could point out,
I'm not sure what the statute says, we gotta go.
Well,
you've gotta
we
look at the
also-
statute,
We also have a screen up there.
yeah, you should also say there's a monitor with a live, live recording of the proceedings visible to everyone in the room.
These are great points, anything else? And thank you for.
Precedent.
Hmm?
Precedent, you can point to the last 10 meetings, which it was stated within the first 5 minutes of the thing, so this is not something that happens often. Precedent's very important, that every single time, we always say it first thing, and this one time, it was said 14 minutes in.
Yeah, I think the important point though, is it was said before the public did anything. For instance, when we came in tonight, I was told that it was recording.
We looked up and saw that it was
It was
recorded.
recording and nobody told us.
Right, we were, the impression wasn't on yet.
So
But
I
the
went over and I
microphones are up.
unplugged the microphone. Because I think we should have our privacy before the meeting starts. And they say they will clip the tape, so to speak, you know, from the beginning to the adjournment, but these tapes exist. And, I don't know if that's legal or not. I have to talk to the cable committee or somebody to,
Or the attorneys.
no.
Oh.
I mean, you cooperate or you litigate. We're gonna cooperate.
Right, right.
And I take this law very seriously. I'm a big fan of the open meeting law. I think the public's business ought to be done in public. And I will support, responding professionally to open meeting law complaints. Anybody brings one in, they'll get a professional response.
There is a motion on the table by Bill for Tom to forward this to Ryan and legal. Can I have a second?
I'm sorry.
I'll second, I just want you to write the initial.
Yeah, I'll
piece for
outline
him,
it
yeah.
for them, and then they can
Right.
flower it up and cite laws and do whatever they do.
Second,
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for your help, people. Is there any other thing that we need to get ready for the next meeting? Do you have a preliminary agenda?
I do not
Um,
have a preliminary agenda.
All right, you have a couple
Or I
items in
do,
your
but it's
head.
on my computer.
That's all right. You have a couple items in your head that we're gonna talk about.
I do, there's
The
going to be,
Rockwall guy.
several A&Rs, there's going to be the Rockwall follow-up, if they
Yep.
come in. There's the, we haven't heard, as far as I know, anything back about 91 Williamsville, and the check they were supposed to give us.
Yep. Noah,
Yeah, Noah Siegel, exactly. I have that under old business, a list of old business, including, certain things like scenic road from Craig, you know, all
Right,
the
right.
assignments we had, the gravel pits,
Right.
the fees have already been taken care of, but there was the concept of the scenic road application fee.
I was
That
supposed to do that.
We're gonna discuss that next time. There's the master plan, obviously, but we're working a little bit on that now, including the master plan form that you and I came up with, which we may not have to send around to as many people if we get,
Which I like the idea of consolidation of that.
oh, yes, definitely.
But that doesn't mean you couldn't ask for some input.
Yeah, input
the
from
form.
the boards anyway.
I was thinking with that form you sent, you know, it has lines.
Right,
It'd be nice if it could be sent as an interactive form where people could fill it in the computer. I hate trying to write something in lines, but I don't know how,
no, I could do it that way, it's not a problem.
even if you sent two, one for
No, I told you actually in the email I sent you that I can do a form fill, there's not a problem.
form, okay.
So
Does
that
that
they
make
don't,
it
they
easier
can
or
type
harder?
it as opposed to writing it in,
Yeah, they can
printing
just
it out and
open it
writing
up as an attachment.
Cause then we
and
would have to actually type it in to give it to whoever's writing the chapter, we couldn't just hand them
Right, right.
written documents depending on the
give them a
handwriting.
couple options, give them paper, give them
Yeah.
electronic.
Whatever works.
Well, we also
whatever-
put
whatever they like.
in the form, the concept of, this is just a template, you wanna give us something else entirely, that's fine,
Yes.
this is just something to get your mind thinking in the direction of
Right.
what the master plan is. And then as far as, we'll be, I guess, removing the Demalias from the 6th, cause they were supposed to come in.
That's correct, I hope they're the best for them.
And I'll
They're-
get something in my calendar for
Right,
90 days
days.
out, so that we can alert them and alert the board that, to expect them. And aside from that, I will have to post it, Tuesday I can send it to you and we can get it posted, 2 weeks in advance and everyone can take a look and
Right.
see if there's anything
And these
else.
grants have to be in
The
there.
grants have to now be old business, they'll
Right.
be added to old business.
Cool. And you said there's
You're,
a, oh,
you're contributing a lot
yes,
to,
thank you.
this process, and, I wanna thank you.
I try.
Very helpful.
Yeah, really helpful. I'm gonna give you a couple extra copies of the meeting agenda to throw away, so that people don't think I'm throwing away some kind of secret document.
Okay, actually, I'm gonna put Kendall's
don't-
name on that and put it in my,
That's Kendall's package.
this is Kendall's package.
I think he can come by and pick it up if he wants to. do
If
that.
not, he'll get it at the next meeting.
Did Ken sign the Mylar? He was here that night when we
He
signed it,
did,
right?
but now I have 4 signatures, we only really needed 3 for a quorum.
That's all right.
So,
So
he
it's
doesn't
all
have to
set.
sign it, so Zoc can come in and grab it,
There you go.
Very good.
so.
So,
I make a motion that we adjourn.
good night, Mrs. Calabash, wherever you are. Seconded,
Second?
all in favor?
All right?
Thanks very much, everybody, good meeting.